A huge winter storm is coming to the United States this week, and this is going to dump a lot of snowfall from the central plains all the way back through the east coast. In addition to that, we are anticipating ice accumulation in many areas, and there will also be a risk for severe weather. There is also a huge Arctic blast that will arrive in the middle of this week, and this is going to bring some areas down as low as 60 degrees below average. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about this big weather pattern that's going to be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And most of the United States is actually relatively quiet. We had a big winter storm that just moved through the Ohio Valley and Northeast. That is now clearing out, and we had a lot of snowfall, upwards of 12 to 18 inches of snow in some areas, including upstate New York and northern Maine. We also had severe weather back over in the southeast, and a quick update on that, we actually have had 11 tornadoes confirmed so far from this severe weather event, including 2 different EF2 tornadoes. One was in Tennessee and the other one back over in Alabama. So definitely something that's very interesting there. We actually end up having a couple of strong tornadoes. The good news though is that we are done with this event. In addition to that, significant flooding has been a big trend back over in Kentucky, West Virginia, and as well as Virginia. Relief efforts are underway. It's an unfortunate event that happened there, a very historic flooding event that took place here over the last couple of days. And the snow that we also saw yesterday morning does not help. It is a lot colder up there now in Kentucky and West Virginia. We do still have some showers that are moving across southern Florida from this big disturbance, but we are going to be clearing out from this. And as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, a winter storm is going to be forming here back over in the central plains, and that is going to be causing a lot of problems. Now let's talk more about this big winter storm that'll be coming to the United States over the next few days. This is what it's going to look like by tonight. We'll have a little bit of light snow moving across the central plains, and then also a little bit of lake effect snow back over in Michigan and also back into the Northeast, and that's on the back side of that low pressure system that just brought a lot of snow in addition to the severe weather threat. As we go into Tuesday morning, that is going to be the beginning of a formation of a winter storm back over in the central plains. Snow will be falling across the Rockies all the way back through Kansas, Missouri, and even back over into Kentucky, but it's really going to intensify as we go into Tuesday afternoon. I do want to point out with this winter storm, it is going to begin off as a very slow moving winter storm, which is going to allow for a lot more snowfall to fall in areas like Missouri and as well as Kansas. That's why we think this is going to be dumping a potential here for not just a ton of snow, but even in some cases a historic amount of snowfall. As we go into late Tuesday night, that snow really starts to ramp up. Notice the dark blues back over in southwest Missouri, right around the Joplin area in southeast Kansas, and even back over near Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're going to be talking about some heavy snowfall Tuesday night, and there will also be freezing rain back over in central and southern Arkansas, all the way as far south as North Texas as we go into Tuesday night as well. And unfortunately, these areas do not really have equipment to be treating most of the roads out there, so definitely make sure if you are traveling that you are taking it very slow Tuesday night and as well as Wednesday. Eventually, as we go into the overnight hours, that snow stays heavy across southern Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, and also even into Tennessee and northern Arkansas. Freezing rain will stretch as far south as very far northern Louisiana. It should just stay north there of the interstate. And then eventually, as we get closer to sunrise Wednesday morning, a little bit of freezing rain continuing here even into Alabama and also back over into Mississippi, and then snow will continue back over in the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley. Now notice that we're not really seeing as many dark blues here, so I do think there's going to be a bit of a transitional period here where we are dealing with lighter snowfall in addition to a faster moving system, because there will be a lot more moisture here in the central plains in addition to a system that's not going to be moving very quickly as we go throughout the daytime on Tuesday. So definitely something to keep in mind here. The totals in terms of snowfall will be lesser, I think, across the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley. Once we go into Wednesday afternoon and evening, this is where a lot of question marks still remain. Even though we're only a couple of days out from this, we don't exactly know what's going to happen here, because it's going to likely be a very small little system as this approaches the East Coast as we go into Wednesday when it comes to the snow aspect. I do think we're going to have light to moderate snow Wednesday afternoon and evening across Virginia, West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee, and as well as North Carolina. The question really remains is what the track of this low pressure system is. If we have a further southern track, that's going to allow for a lot more snowfall to fall across North Carolina and Virginia. If the track ends up being a bit further to the north and east, which is becoming a lesser probability at this point, that would lead to a much more significant winter storm and even a blizzard back over in southern New England and even in parts of the Northeast. So this is going to be something to really watch for. Now, the latest European model run does indicate a really heavy area of snowfall Wednesday night back over in eastern North Carolina, eastern Virginia, and southern Maryland. But notice how small it is, and notice how it's just going to be moving offshore. We're actually not even really going to see this this hit New England very much, even on the daytime on Thursday. So that's definitely something we need to watch for very closely. The difference between 50 miles is going to be super crucial when it comes to exactly how much snow we see out of this winter storm. So if there are any big changes to the forecast in terms of the positioning of this winter storm or how much snowfall is going to fall, we will have another video update this afternoon. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified if that video does end up happening. If not, we'll have an update for you tomorrow morning as well. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation, we are anticipating a lot of snow across southeastern Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, southern Missouri, and even into southern Illinois, where a widespread area between 5 to 10 inches of snow is expected. In addition to that, we could have some areas as high as 14 to 15 inches of snow between Joplin, Missouri, all the way back over near the Cape Girardeau area. In addition to that, I think areas like St. Louis will see around 4 to 6 inches of snow. If you're back up near Kansas City, I would anticipate 3 to 5 inches of snowfall. Tulsa, Oklahoma, you're going to be very close, I think, to the heaviest of the snow. You might end up only seeing 2 to 3 inches. You also could see as much as 7 to 8 inches, depending on if this track shifts a bit further down to the south. Back over near Memphis, Tennessee, I would anticipate around 4 to 6 inches of snow as well. And then back over anywhere else in central Kentucky, most of those areas will be somewhere between 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. Now, you may not see snow across many areas in Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas. However, there will be a risk for freezing rain. And a big problem here is that we might only see around 1/10 of an inch of ice or even less than that in most of these areas. However, the temperatures here across the southern plains are not forecasted to go above freezing until at least Thursday or Friday for most of these areas, which means any ice that accumulates on untreated roadways could be there for upwards of 48 to 72 hours. So that's one of the biggest concerns right now across areas like Arkansas and even into northern Louisiana and as well as North Texas. And even though the ice accumulation numbers might not be that high, this could cause disruptions on the roadways for upwards of 2 to 3 days. Now, further to the east, the forecast is a lot more difficult. If you're anywhere east of Arkansas or even Missouri, this system is going to be a lot faster, and it's also going to be doing a lot of different things, including becoming a bomb cyclone as it moves into the Atlantic Ocean, which means that this low pressure system will be rapidly intensifying when it comes to the pressure drop. So what we're going to be seeing here in Kentucky, I think, is a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. I think many areas in central Kentucky could get as much as 3 to 6 inches, though. I don't think there's going to be any surprises really in Kentucky when it comes to the amount of snowfall. However, it gets a lot more difficult once we go into Tennessee. This is a state that could see a widespread 2 to 5 inches of snow. It's also a state that could have a very sharp divide when it comes to the amount of snowfall accumulation. The European model does show the more significant amount of snow being over in western and northern Tennessee, where we could see an area around 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. Now, I personally think these numbers will actually end up being a bit higher in this area. Nonetheless, though, I do think the majority of the snowfall will end up being on either the northern or very far western side of the state near Memphis, for example. This is, again, one of the more tricky areas. It's going to be right here along the East Coast because this system is going to become a bomb cyclone, which means that this low pressure system will drop in pressure by about 24 millibars in a 24-hour period as it moves into the Atlantic Ocean, and we're going to have a lot of moisture surging from the south. And what this is going to allow for, I think, is a really significant winter storm. However, we don't exactly know where the heaviest of that snowfall will end up happening. I think it's going to end up, though, being in parts of northeast North Carolina and as well as very far eastern Virginia. We could have upwards of 10 to 15 inches of snow in some areas. That's the magnitude of this winter storm. However, there's many of you that are going to be left very disappointed out of this. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. I'm going to get blamed for someone not seeing that much snowfall because this is a very sharp divide between seeing 14 or 15 inches of snow and only seeing an inch to maybe even no snow at all. So definitely make sure that you're aware of that. Again, there's a chance that you see a lot. There's also a chance you don't see much. Again, I'll have a video later today talking more about this if there's any changes to the forecast, but I do think the majority of this is going to be in a very small area. Back over in southern New England, most areas I don't think are going to see much snowfall. If you're in Cape Cod, though, I think a few inches of snow will be possible there. Again, a lot of people have been saying a big nor'easter is coming. I don't personally think this system is going to be far enough to the north for that to happen. However, there could be some changes. We'll have to wait and see. Again, we are still about 2 days out from this happening. And then this is the GFS model. Again, notice how there's a much more significant amount of snowfall in both Kentucky and Tennessee, but I am keeping my forecast a bit more conservative just due to the fact that this system will be speeding up and we're not exactly sure how much moisture there will be here across Kentucky and Tennessee for there to be possibly some more moderate to heavy snowfall, which is what the GFS model is accounting for. And it does show that more significant amount of snowfall a bit further to the north, back over in parts of Maryland and more up into Virginia, and as well as even as far north as New Jersey, and really does not show much snow again back up in southern New England. Also, I think no matter what happens, we're going to see around a coating to a few inches across areas in the northern Ohio Valley, so Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, but overall we're not talking really about winter storm conditions in those areas. In addition addition to all of this, we are expecting significant ice accumulation across North Carolina, maybe as far south as South Carolina as well. This is going to be because of cold air damming. This is a common weather phenomenon actually in wintertime, just east of the Appalachian Mountains, and that is going to force the potential here for upwards of maybe even a half an inch of ice accumulation in some areas, which could cause some significant power outages and perhaps even travel impacts for days. So definitely going to be something to watch for here, and definitely make sure you're taking it slow on the roadways if you have any travel intentions as we go into Wednesday. Now, if we don't have record-breaking snowfall amounts in some areas, we are definitely going to have record-breaking temperatures in the United States. This is what it looks like as we go into Wednesday morning. We are going to have many areas as much as 30 to 50 degrees below average across the Great Plains, and even as we go into Thursday and Friday, this cold air continues across almost any area east of the Rocky Mountains. Again, we're going to have a widespread area at least around 20 to 40 degrees below average. There will be many areas as much as 50 to 60 degrees below average, though, any of these mornings or afternoons, Wednesday, Thursday, or even Friday. It will start to improve, though, as we go into next week. I think warmer air will make a return at the end of February, so that's good news. I think this is really our last big shot of cold air here for this winter, so definitely looking forward to that, I think. As we eventually go into Wednesday morning, these are the low temperatures that you could be waking up to. Sub-zero temperatures as far south as Oklahoma and Missouri. This is some of the coldest weather that we've seen since 2021. As we eventually go into Thursday morning, we are still talking about very cold conditions across the Midwest and as well as the central and southern plains. Some areas could be as low as 30 degrees below zero for actual temperatures. Eventually, as we go into the weekend, though, things do begin to improve a little bit further to the east. However, it's still going to be very cold. Now, in terms of the wind chills, we are going to have some areas as low as 65 degrees below zero for feel-like temperatures back up in North Dakota and even back up into Canada. As we go into Wednesday morning, it's not really much of a different story further down to the south. We still have sub-zero wind chills as far south as Texas and even back into Indiana and Illinois. This is downright dangerous. Be careful out there. Make sure you are bundled up if you're going outside on Wednesday. Eventually, as we go into Thursday, same story. Some areas like Nebraska could be as much as 40 degrees below zero for wind chills. This is, again, downright dangerous, so it might be a good idea to stay indoors both Wednesday and Thursday. Have the board games out, have the candles lit up, have the fireplace also ready to go, and just don't go outside and you'll probably end up being fine. I mean, again, this is just crazy cold, though. Even for high temperatures on Thursday in terms of feel-like temperatures, we're still talking about sub-zero across almost all of the Great Plains and also through the Midwest. So definitely be safe out there. Again, we'll keep you posted with the latest. There is a chance that we go live tomorrow for the winter storm. I'm not entirely sure. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates.
मुकदमे का कहना है कि कार सवार दो मुलजमान ने खुद को पुलिस अफसर बताया और चेकिंग के बहाने तमाम